Welcome back, holy man, to a new video. Now, why is it that I don't want you to know about the Sabbath? Why is it being mocked and attacked and even kept from you? It's because it would drastically change the course of humanity. Today, I want you to become one of the millions of people around the world who have already uncovered the truth. And I'll tell you all about how the Sabbath will benefit your holistic well-being, as well as some intriguing insights into the key players behind this scheme. But let's start at the beginning. Literally, creation week. God makes everything in 6 days. The sun, the moon and the stars, the seas and the trees, animals everywhere, and of course, Adam and Eve. And then the Bible says, "Thus the heavens and the earth and all the host of them were finished." Sounds good? Job well done, right? Not quite. Notice the verse after. "And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had done. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made." Though the heavens and the earth were all done, all matter had come into being. But one thing wasn't done yet. Time. God created and added one more day, making it a 7-day week. Fun fact, did you know that the cycles for days and months and years can all be traced and explained by science, but the 7-day week only finds its explanation in the Bible? So what is so special about this 7th day that, don't miss this, that this was the final part that would finish off God's perfect design? It has everything to do with what he did. And as we unpack this together, it will also become clearer to you why they don't want you to know about it. So God creates this new day, and as seconds of this new installment of time turn into minutes, into hours, God is just resting. And the original Hebrew word for rest that is used here is Shabbat. Now, I've never created a world personally, but it sounds pretty intense. But the Bible says that God never gets tired. But that begs the question, why then rest? Why create a whole day just to rest if you're not tired? Jesus, the Creator himself, gives us the answer. The Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Despite there being no sin, no evil, no burdensome work, Jesus added this whole extra day of the week for our sake. Now, what does Jesus know that it could do for us that we might be missing today? Imagine being Adam and Eve. You're created in this perfect paradise. You're trying to figure out what's going on, what life is, who you are. And immediately on your first full day after you have been created, God is like, "Let's rest, shall we? Let's go for a walk over those wide beaches that overlook the dolphins and whales jumping in the turquoise blue water. Maybe we can hike up that mountain and view the massive variety of life in colors. Let's make a cozy campfire and get to know each other." We recently talked on this channel about your identity and the importance of how you see yourself, because that determines the way you live and feel. And God never wanted you to forget who you were. So he literally created a law in nature to remind you. Every week, you are a handcrafted masterpiece. You are not a coincidence or an accident, random happening by chance. You were made with a purpose. The most powerful being in the universe thought of you before you were born and said, "I can't wait to spend time with him." And the Sabbath helps you to put God first. It calibrates your mindset so you can go into the new week with confidence in who you are, having mental clarity, a right focus, and beaming energy. Even in a perfect world, God knew this would benefit the human family. Then man, how much more today? I don't know where you live. Norway here is beautiful, but it sure ain't that perfect world that Adam and Eve lived in. Things have changed quite a bit. Most people experience anger, insecurity and worries, anxiety and fear on a regular daily basis. We face an abundance of expectations of others and pressure to perform and deliver, and it feels like we're always one step behind. It's never good enough, and it never stops. There's always something. There's always a next thing in this fast-paced, 24/7, connected, ever-demanding world. We're too busy. We're stressed. We're burned out. Even up to the point where in Japan, they invented a word specifically to mean death due to overwork. That's a bad sign. I don't think any of us really enjoy the way the world operates. That's why when it gets too much, we seek to escape. We browse through every story on Instagram, we binge watch Netflix, we play video games, we watch pornography, we talked about that recently, trying to seek relief, numbing the senses of being overwhelmed and cannot deal with it. And guess what happens? Our time and interest for God gets squeezed out, and we forget who we are, losing touch of our purpose, now letting circumstances and people and accomplishments and feelings tell us who we are instead. I can't biblically say for sure, but the condition of our world today in this respect, I think is the worst it's ever been in human history. But even before it's gotten this bad, God already initiated a recovery plan. Let's go back a few thousand years. The world had gradually degraded after Adam and Eve brought sin into our atmosphere. And now those who followed God, God's people, were taken captive in Egypt. They were slaves, and they were unable to keep the Sabbath. Generations passed, and 430 years later, God saves them from their oppressors and leads them out of Egypt. And soon after their liberation, God immediately reminds them of something they had forgotten. Let's read what God said. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, which means set apart, different from the other days. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. God takes their minds back to creation week. Remember that I am your creator. Remember that I want to be with you. But he didn't just say, remember the Sabbath, remember creation week. Now he's coming up with specific instructions too. Don't work. For 400 years, this is all they were supposed to do. Work, work, work. They were slaves. Work had become who they were, their identity. But this reminder of the Sabbath crushes that false narrative. Don't work. Your identity isn't in what you do. It isn't in circumstances. It isn't what others say about you. I say who you are. Remember how I spoke everything into existence, the light, the ocean, the sun. But for humanity, I didn't speak. I came down to earth. My feet strolled through the blades of grass, and with my own hands, I formed you. You are special. I made you to be like me. Brothers, the good news is this commandment still counts for us too. He wrote it with his own finger in stone. It's an unchangeable day of rest that the Bible tells us we will get to have for all eternity, reminding us of who we are and where we came from. You've got a divine permission slip to rest. God didn't suggest it. He didn't, bounce ideas with us. He commanded us, rest. Now, if that's not the best law ever made, I don't know what is. Whether it's at the office or at home, no work. No chores on our mind. No worries about the bills and laundry or garden work. No need to keep up to date with the latest tweets. All of that. Pause. Disconnect from all of that. And connect with God. Meet with fellow believers and fill your mind with stories of how good God has been during the week. Take your kids out into nature and teach them about God. Visit the lonely, take care of the sick. Be a light of liberty in your community. Imagine your life being a painter's canvas. Thousands of lines of what God says about you, tightly woven together in a strong and durable foundation. Your priorities, decisions, and ambitions are filling that canvas with a harmony of colors, a touch of kindness here and some strokes of generosity there, all coming together to make your life into the image of God. It's vibrant, it's beautiful, but it's not done. There's one thing that every valuable masterpiece needs: the signature of the artist. God says, "Moreover, I also gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between them and me, that they might know that I am the Lord who sanctifies them." Sanctify, again, meaning set apart, make holy. The Sabbath is God's signature on your life. It acknowledges that God is the artist of your life. He has laid the foundation in your heart for you to know who you are. He has filled your life with blessings and goodness. He's painted over the parts where the enemy sneaked some paint on your canvas, and he turned those pieces into the most eye-catching parts. The Sabbath will change your life because it's the closest experience to heaven we can get here on earth. Without distractions, without duties, without other things demanding our attention, we can freely and unapologetically live the life we were originally designed for. The Bible tells us that Jesus will soon come again to get us. And in God's global message to the world in this end time to prepare his people for this climactic event, listen to what God draws our attention to. Then I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach to those who dwell on the earth, to every nation, tribe, tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, "Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea and springs of water." In God's last message to the world, he presents himself as our creator, once again drawing our attention to the Sabbath. Why? In one of the other videos that I recently made, we saw how God's nemesis, the devil, deceived humanity into believing that we can be our own gods. But there's a problem with that. Well, there's many problems with that, but imagine buying a painting at the auction. You want to show it off to your friends, but you want to have them believe that you are the artist. What is the dead giveaway that you would need to get rid of first? The signature of the real artist. What did God say is his signature, showing that he is the artist of creation and of our lives? The seventh-day Sabbath. The devil wants us to forget our true identity. He wants us to forget about our Creator. He wants us to live as our own gods. So what does he do? Bible prophecy tells us. Now, this will be a lot of information in just a short time, so try to bear with me. Later, I'll make a separate video on this, but Bible prophecy, it lays bare the plans as well as the identities of the key players that will be involved in this global scheme. The devil will work together with a sea beast and a land beast. Now remember, this is prophecy, lots of symbols used, but when you study their descriptions, you can easily identify these powers as the Roman Catholic Church and apostate Protestantism in the United States. And in the end times, they will bundle their powers to forge a counterfeit signature, so a falsified signature, for those who choose to be their own God. And that is why God again calls his people to the original seventh-day Sabbath in this final message to the world as a sign that he is their God. Because at the same time, this counterfeit day of worship, the Sunday, is uplifted and later even enforced by law as a signature or a mark of those who reject God's authority. The Bible calls this the mark of the beast. The seventh-day Bible Sabbath is a special object of attack for God's enemies because it reminds us of our identity and purpose, because it brings healing to our body, mind, and soul, because it strengthens your relationships with family, friends, with God. and because it is a sign that God is the artist of your life, from creation to redemption to recreation. The Sabbath truly is a gift to humanity, and hopefully you've fallen in love with the Sabbath as much as I have. But I also understand that many of you may have been going to church on Sunday, and now there's a lot to process and it can be a bit confusing. And that's why I want to give you 2 short ebooks for free that I wrote that take up questions that you may have right now about the Sabbath as well as the Sunday. The link to those free ebooks is in the description below. And brothers, I don't know where you are watching from. Be cool if you can drop it in the comments. But I do know that within 7 days from wherever you are, you will have an opportunity to start experiencing the beauty and rest of this 7th day gift. So in advance to you, a happy Sabbath.